Though I'm clearly a huge fan of the Game Boy, there's no denying the hardware kinda sucks, which if nothing else is a testament of the power of good games. The Game Boy killed its competition back in the day despite being, objectively speaking, the shittiest hardware for you to play games on the go. Considering the Game Boy is not the best hardware to play games on, and the fact that it's a sought after collectible that most people, once they get their hands on, want to keep it in the most pristine condition possible, how does a Game Boy fan play their games then? Well, this may be the solution, the GB Boy Color, a nearly perfect Game Boy Color hardware clone. Let's take a look. I've had this guy for quite a while now and I've been kind of lazy to review it, but well, better late than never. This, like I said, it's a little dusty here. This is the GB Boy Color. I wish I could compare it to my Game Boy Color, but as I showed you in the beginning, it's framed now, so I can't really show you. But I can tell you that the proportions, the dimensions are pretty much spot on. It has about the same weight. It has the port for actual game cartridges here on the top. As you can see, there's a volume wheel there on the side, a port for you to connect your cable link to, so yeah, you can play multiplayer games with this system. As you can see, the layout of the buttons is pretty much what you'd expect from a Game Boy clone. I question the decision to make the D-pad round on the sides here. I don't like the way this looks. I would have preferred if they went with the way the Game Boy D-pad naturally looks like. I'm not sure why they felt the need to differentiate like this. On the top here, something curious. You see what looks like an AR blaster, right? This is non-functional. There's nothing on the board that connects to this. In fact, if you buy the clear version, which they offer, you can see that this leads nowhere. They just made this so it visually looks more like the Game Boy, but there's no function whatsoever for this. The back of the unit here, it's powered by two AA batteries. And down here you have a headphone jack and a power adapter jack. Down here, I cannot find mine, and I'm questioning my own memory as to whether this thing shipped with a power brick at all. I can't recall. Anyway, so let's turn this thing on. When you turn it on, as you can see, the screen is really bright, very sharp. I'm going to bring it a little bit closer here. Very bright and sharp on this camera here now. And as you can see, it comes with a bunch of preloaded games, and needless to say, yes, this is effectively piracy. So as you can see here, I'm booting up Super Mario Land, one of my favorite titles on the system, and I'm not sure if you can tell there. And this is, mind you, this is a game from the original Game Boy library, so it's not meant to have colors, but like the Game Boy Color, the GB Boy Color does some trickery to apply some colors to a game that's otherwise black and white. And I'm not sure if you can tell there. I'm going to bring it a little bit closer here. There you go. The screen is sharp. This is clearly the money you're paying for this thing. It's very clearly well spent when it comes to the screen. This is, I would even wager, better than... Oh, I just killed myself. This is a remarkably decent screen. So on that alone, come on, there you go. This is so good. It blows me away that I used to play. I beat this game, in fact, on the original Game Boy with no colors and with a refresh rate so bad that everything was ghosting on the screen. The refresh rate on this thing is pretty decent, as you can see. It comes, as you can see on the screen, with a, it says 188 games in one, but as is common with these Chinese systems, a lot of these games repeat throughout the list and are just basically same games with different names. So a bunch of games here already preloaded into the unit that you can enjoy with the screen that's leagues better than anything in the Game Boy line. I would argue that this is even better than the screen on the AGS 101, the fabled brighter model of the Game Boy Advance. I have them all, and I will tell you, this screen, to me at least, this is sharper and brighter than even the best screen available on the Game Boy, on Nintendo's own. Now, what's most interesting about this device is the fact that it takes actual Game Boy cartridges. I have my copy of Pokemon Blue here, and I'll put this in, and as you can see, wait, you have to wait a little bit longer. If you turn it off and on again, I imagine it retains whatever was on, so you have to turn it off. There we go. So as you can see, come on, very, very decent. So this is, look at this. That is that's a superb screen right there. Or it would be. Remember I mentioned in the beginning that this is almost perfect? The problem with the system is that the screen is at the aspect ratio. Let me turn this down here. is that the aspect ratio on the screen is not quite the same as the original Game Boy. It's slightly squished vertically. It's hard to tell, especially if you're not comparing with the Game Boy in the moment where you're seeing both. But this aspect ratio is not quite right. It's not exactly the aspect ratio on the original Game Boy. With the exception of the fact that the aspect ratio on the screen is not exactly what it was on the Game Boy, the GB Boy Color is one of the best ways to enjoy Game Boy games on hardware that's closer to what the original was. Of course, you can play emulators on a PSP, on a GPDXD, on any number of Chinese devices meant just for emulation, but this fits in the hand and in the pocket the same way the Game Boy used to. It's a form factor that, for the collector like myself, is far more interesting than playing these on, say, a modded PSP. The GB Boy sells for $40, and considering the quality of the screen, the fact that you can run original games, so if you're a collector and you really want to save your Game Boys for posterity, this is the way to go. For $40, you could do worse. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you liked it, considering dropping a like, subscribing to the channel. There's, let's say, 2-3 videos here every week. I really appreciate the feedback, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. And that's all the time I have for today. I'll see you guys next time.